Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining me today. This is the first video in a new series called Field Tested, and it is pretty much what it says it is. It's gear that I've got that I've been using quite regularly on my hikes for the last maybe year or so, that have been seriously put to the test. These aren't things I've recently purchased where I've kind of given a video of my initial thoughts. These are things that have been really put to the test on the trail, and I'm now going to share with you, as honestly as I can possibly be, my thoughts on this gear. And straight off the bat, I want to say that I'm not sponsored by anyone. I've no vested interest in any of the brands that I talk about. I know I'm very enthusiastic about Solomon, but that's because I really like the product. They don't sponsor me. I'm not interested in being sponsored, and I pay for my own gear, just to put that on the table. So let's get to the first piece of kit. It's our old friend. If you watch my videos, you know who we're talking about. Here's Gary. Now I call him Gary, obviously, because he is the Garmin. He's the Etrex 32x. It's a global positioning system. And a quick fill-in, if you've not watched the video, I got this because initially I was using a combination of my mobile phone with the Ordnance Survey app, OS Maps, combining that with actual printed paper maps. I don't like to navigate on the trail using compass and paper. For me, that doesn't give me any pleasure. That's just a means to an end. In an emergency, I did a couple of days course. Did I do a one-day course? Whichever. I've had some basic training in map navigation. I don't think it's particularly difficult. But that's purely for emergency purposes. Say that my equipment fails and I need to get off the trail and get back to the car. If you've done any map navigating, you know that it can be quite time consuming to navigate using a map and compass. So therefore I use a sort of satellite navigation system, such as the one found with Apple or Android phone, which locates you on the OS map, saves you all that time and effort. Obviously, technology has come a long way. I think it's pretty reliable in my own opinion. It's never really let me down greatly, but it's not something you want to rely on totally, because when it does go down, you are stuck. Therefore, I was using the mobile phone for quite a while. The problem was, as we all know from mobile phones, the battery is very limited, and this is a multi-use device. It can also be very distracting while walking the trail. So I really wanted to shift from using a mobile phone to a more global positioning system, you know, a one-job item where I look at it, it doesn't distract me with emails and Facebook notifications and Instagram, and just does what it says on the tin. So hence, after a quick bit of investigating, I came up with the Etrex 32x. It has good reviews even to this day. I've said before, the display and the controls are pretty basic. You use this joystick and buttons on the side to navigate the menus. The menus look like they're straight out of a Nokia 3210. I'm very happy with that. It keeps everything simple, less to break. There we go, that's a brief overview of my other video. That's why I got it, that's why I use it. Now then, we have field tested this particular piece of kit. Now, when I'm making my videos and I go to the editing, I really want to be as honest as I possibly can. I'm a Bible-believing Christian. I believe that one of the qualities of God is honesty and truth. He is truthful and honest. I want to reflect that. That's the direction I want to go. In my videos, I try my hardest to avoid all the gimmicks, to avoid all the tricks of the trade and all the misdirection people can put into videos. So I try and give you the honest video of the trail that I'm on. But there are times when I think something will happen and I think, right, I'll save that for a video. So in some of my videos, you don't really see this happen. And what's been happening is Gary, he's like that drunk friend. We've all got one. When he's sober, he's kind of reliable. When he's drunk, he's fun to be around. But sooner or later, he's going to let you down. Now, Gary has let me down on several occasions. Now, as you know, for context purposes, we did this year St. Oswald's Way. That was a sort of 5, 6, maybe 7 days. Getting old, memories going. A multi-day hike on St. Oswald's Way, which breaks off from Hadrian's Wall. There's a video on that if you're interested. And that was really the first time that this was going to be put to the test in a serious situation. I'd day hiked with him He's a him now because I'm quite affectionately attached to Gary. And day hikes have not been an issue. But on the first day of St Oswald's Way, we got out of the van to the start of the trail. We were saying goodbye to Bill, who was our driver, and I turned Gary on, and he had blanked himself. This had never happened before, and I'm obviously panicking. It's my job to lead the trail. It's to lead Tim and Paddy. I've not been on this trail before. I obviously in my bag were my maps, but I didn't really want to be doing that. And here he was. He'd completely blanked himself. All my original settings and preferences had gone. By the grace of God, the maps were still on the device, so I could reload the maps up. I'd broken them down into multi-days. So that day's map was there, but as I was walking, I pretty much had to start. I was like that all for the first few miles, just reprogramming everything, moving everything where I wanted it to because of the customization of the menus. And a cold sweat had come on me. Gary had never let me down like this. I would soon figure out what the issue was, and I don't know why it's the way it is, but this is the issue. I'll get to it later. So I was able then to sort of carry on, and by the end of that first day, I got him back to roughly where I wanted to. So when we went back to the accommodation, I was able then to connect him to my tablet and basically get everything back on track. The biggest issue there was that if I'd been doing a multi-day through hike and hadn't had accommodation, I wouldn't have had my tablet, and we would really have been in the mess. So that was St Oswald's Way. It never happened again on St Oswald's Way, but it made me nervous. I put that down as a strike, and I'm only a 2-strike kind of guy. There's no 3 strikes. It's 2 and you're gone. Moving on from that, returned home, did multi-day hikes again. Didn't have an issue, but I was very nervous about Gary. And then one day, it did happen again. I got to the trail. Gary had turned himself off and rebooted. Now, he hadn't blanked himself because this time I saved all my profile information to a specific profile that remained on the device. But I had to reboot, and I'd missed a section of it because it records my trail, which is invaluable. It records the actual mileage that I do, and it had missed a chunk because obviously when it had turned himself off, I didn't know until I decided to look at him again and realised, oh, blank screen, reboot. At that point, I realised what the issue was. The Etrex runs on Common Garden AA batteries, not rechargeables. It's not a rechargeable unit. You can put rechargeable batteries in, but it's not like a mobile phone or anything where you can just plug in and recharge. What I was finding was, depending on what type of batteries I bought, if I bought standard Duracells, I didn't have an issue. If I went to these all singing, all dancing, 200% extra power, lithium, blah, blah, blahs, for whatever reason, that seemed to knock him silly. That was like giving him, he'd been drinking beer all week and then you hit him with a double strength Moscow Mule. That would be what threw him. And every time I changed the type of battery, the first time I would use him, that's when he would lose his mind. So, now I'm aware of that, I can counter it, but it's kind of annoying. I've got to be very careful which type of batteries I put in, and which point on the trail. Is it a multi-day hike? Is it a single-day hike? At which point is it going to happen again? And the other aspect was the lower-end batteries, just standard Duracells, wouldn't give me the full day. I would have to change them mid-hike. And what I've noticed is it might chime, but as you walk in the trail, you're not aware of it. And I would take him off and look, and he's gone blank, and he's run out of juice. So while he's run out of juice, it's not recording my movements, it's not recording the trail. That's happened several times now. And obviously I put that down to my own error. But very frustrating, very annoying. The key takeaway from there is get one set of batteries, figure out which ones last you the entire day's walk, stick with those batteries. Don't change them, buy loads of them, use the same brand, the same type that works for you. Don't keep mixing and matching if you can get away with it. Right, that's the thing on power. After that, I suddenly realised, wow, I have no way of connecting this device or altering maps, uploading maps. Imagine it blanked itself and there's no maps on there. I have no way of doing that on the trail. That was a massive drawback, and I spent a lot of time thinking about that. What can I do to do that? I did think about it, and I sorted the solution, and it's this. Right, so that cable can now plug into my iPhone, and I'm sure there'll be an Android equivalent. And what I can do then is connect my mobile phone to this device. I've done it a couple of times now. It still runs at the same slow pace. That's to do with Garmin, it's nothing to do with your phone. Or, you know, if I've connected a PC to it, I've connected an Apple tablet to it. It's very slow file navigation. But with this adapter, I can plug that into my iPhone and then use the cable to connect USB to Gary. And because my maps are on the cloud, I can then upload my maps to Gary again in the case of an emergency. That has dealt with the second problem, which is not being able to alter this on the trail. So I carry that now with my power pack so I can talk to Gary, sort him out. That takes a massive weight off. So I'll just need to, at the moment, I've got cheap, nasty batteries I want to use up. First thing to take away, get decent batteries, get proper batteries that work, that last the day. Don't change them. Don't change the brand, don't change the quality of them, just buy the same quality each time. And second, get a cable, make sure your mobile phone can connect to this device. Apart from that, and I always want to end on a positive note, would I stop using Gary? Has he become unreliable? Even saying it upsets me. I don't like talking about Gary like this when he's here with us. No, this is absolutely invaluable. The main reason being, for all these hikes I've been doing, you'll notice in the videos a little screen will show up at the end. It's a screenshot of this. He's recording the exact route I've taken based on very accurate satellite navigation. He's recording the mileage, my stop time, my walking time, my pace. It's just a wealth of information that's absolutely invaluable to have while walking the trail. And apart from times when, on the occasion, he does actually give up on life, as soon as he's back on, it's back on trail. I don't lose it. I've never lost any of my tracking information except from the moment it turned off. It's not like it blanked all the previous navigation. And once you get your head around the controls, they are a little bit primitive. They are hard work to make them. So like, if I set off driving and this is in my bag, and I get to my destination and I start, I've got to remember to reset everything for that day so that it records only that day. Otherwise, it'll just carry on recording indefinitely. So, you know, if I drive 100 miles, that'll be on Gary. So once you get past all that, the benefits just far outweigh these little glitches. Like I said, he's like a drunk friend. You don't want to get rid of him. You'd like him to stop drinking. But at the end of the day, he's a lot of fun to be around when he's right. For that reason, I'm not going to stop using him. It's massively reduced my mobile phone usage. I only use my phone now for photographs. I've very much restricted or pulled back my social media activity. It was getting a little bit out of hand. I've really yanked that back, so the phone's not getting drained or hammered, but I know it's a backup, it's an emergency if this really does fail. And I thought about it the other day. I thought, well, if Gary failed, then I go to my mobile phone. If my mobile phone failed, I've got a paper map and a compass. If all else fails, I'll die doing what I loved. By the way, I don't think that will happen. As far as navigation is concerned, field tested. Gary has been field tested. He's going to stay with the team. We found a way around his quirks, and I thoroughly enjoy using it and having that data at the end of a trail. Right, guys, I hope that helps you combine with the other video to make a decision whether this is for you. There's so many benefits to it. You've just got to be ready for the quirks, which, like a lot of the kit I use, just comes out of nowhere. Some weird, strange quirks. Right, guys, that's me wrapping up field tested for the GARMIN Etrex 32x. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it was helpful. That's the most important thing. Hope it was helpful. And I will see you next time back on the trail.